Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into Bill Eddy's book, 5 Types of People Who Can Ruin Your Life. We're talking about those people who are more than just difficult. These are the people who can truly derail your life, your career, your sanity.
So let me ask you this, and I want you to really think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where someone's actions were just so extreme, so out of left field, that it left you completely stunned? You're just standing there thinking, What just happened? Chances are the answer is yes. And those encounters can be incredibly personal and damaging.
Take the story of Tom. He really thought he'd met the one in Kara. But a few years into their marriage, bam, she serves him with a restraining order, built on a foundation of complete lies. This kicked off a 7-year court battle over their child. He never saw it coming.
Or how about Joe? He was so excited to hire Monica, she seemed like the perfect candidate. But pretty soon she's filing these endless, baseless complaints against, well, everyone, including Joe himself. It got so bad he actually had to step down from his manager role because of the stress.
And then you have a guy like Paul. He joins a church. Seems like he's really turned his life around. But next thing you know, he's collecting money for a fake tragedy, using random pictures of a house fire he found online to con the entire community. He just left a trail of broken trust. These stories feel extreme, but believe me, they are shockingly common.
So here's our game plan for today. We're going to define exactly what these people are, what an HCP is. Then we'll get into the practical stuff, how to spot the warning signs. After that, we'll learn a powerful strategy called the CARS method for how to respond. And finally, we'll talk about why knowing all this is more important now than ever before.
All right, first up, let's put a name to this problem, because the author gives us a really specific term, and just understanding what it means is the first crucial step to protecting yourself.
They're called high-conflict people, or HCPs. And here's the absolute key takeaway. Most of us, right, when there's conflict, our instinct is to solve it, calm it down, maybe walk away. And HCP does the exact opposite. They compulsively, automatically make it worse. They pour gasoline on the fire.
And a huge part of their playbook is their need for a target of blame. An HCP will lock on to one person. It could be a spouse, a boss, a neighbor, and they will attack them relentlessly. This isn't just a bad argument. We're talking about a campaign of destruction that can last for months or even years.
Now, you're probably wondering, okay, how common is this? Well, have a look at this. The author estimates that about 15% of the population may have a personality disorder. But the group we really need to focus on are the HCPs, the 10% who actively seek out a target of blame. That's 1 in 10 people. Just let that sink in for a sec.
So, what do we do? How do we protect ourselves? This is where we get into the practical stuff. Think of this next section as your own personal toolkit for spotting these patterns, hopefully early on, before they can do any real damage.
The first tool it's just beautiful in its simplicity. It's called the 90% rule. Whenever you see behavior that makes you go, whoa, that was a lot, just ask yourself this one simple question. Would 90% of the people I know ever do that? If the answer is a clear and immediate no, well, you are very likely watching an HCP in action.
And these examples really make it clear, don't they? Humiliating a friend in public, destroying a child's favorite thing, and it's not always negative behavior. Look at that last one. Giving someone a super intense, intimate hug the second you meet them. It's a boundary violation. These are all things that fall way, way outside of what's normal.
Okay, that rule is great for spotting the really obvious stuff. But the million-dollar question is, how do you spot them early? Before they've decided to make you their next target of blame. For that, we need a different kind of tool.
And that's where the WEB method comes in. It's a really simple and powerful acronym. First, W is for words. Listen for that black and white all or nothing language. Words like always and never. That's a huge red flag. E is for emotions. Are their emotions just wildly out of proportion to what's happening? And pay attention to how you feel around them. If you feel intensely excited or even anxious, that's a warning sign. And finally, B is for behavior. Do they talk about a history of extreme actions? Do they ignore normal social boundaries?
Okay, so you've identified a potential HCP. Now what do you do?
The most important thing to realize is you are not going to change them. You can't. But what you can do is manage the interaction. And for that, we have the CARS method.
CARS is your four-step strategy. First, you connect. Now, this is not about agreeing with them, it's about using empathy to calm them down and get them out of their defensive mode. Next, analyze choices. This helps shift their brain from pure emotion to logical thinking. Then, respond to any lies or misinformation, but keep it brief and factual. The goal is to not get sucked into their drama. And finally, and this is so important, you set limits. This is where you calmly and firmly state what behavior you will and will not tolerate.
So what does that connect step actually sound like? This quote is a perfect example of what the author calls an EAR statement. It stands for empathy, attention, and respect. Saying something just like this can completely de-escalate a defensive person. Notice you're not agreeing with them. You're just acknowledging their feelings and their effort. It's incredibly powerful.
All right, so for our final section, let's zoom out a bit. Why does all of this matter so much right now? What is it about our modern world that might actually make us more vulnerable to high-conflict people than ever before?
The book points to 4 huge shifts in society. First, we're so mobile now, we just don't have those deep personal histories with each other that we used to. Second, our communities and families are often weaker, so there's less of a social filter to protect us. Third, of course, is the internet. It's so easy for someone to completely hide their past and create a false persona online. And finally, think about entertainment. We see these dramatic characters on screen have a big change of heart, and it gives us this false hope that we can fix real-life HCPs. The hard truth is, you can't.
So, here we are. We've defined the problem, we've learned the warning signs to look for, and now you have a real, concrete method for how to respond. You're no longer flying blind. And that leaves us with one final, very powerful question. Now that you have this knowledge, this personality awareness, who are you going to protect?